going on, guys? Got a little bit of an update for you. So the other day I had a full day working out here, and I started working on some wiring, and I did not video it, so I apologize about that. But at the same time, that was the first day in a while that I've been able to actually bust down and be able to spend constant amount of time on it. So I was really trying to get as much done as I could. And also, I mean, it's wiring. I'm moving around so much, like, you guys aren't going to be able to see what's actually going on unless I'm constantly moving the camera. So, but I will give you kind of a glimpse on what's happened so far. All right, so I came out of the wall here and fed up, got this fuse block from O'Reilly's here. And what I did is run these wires. Now, I think I might have mentioned this in the video before, but this is the engine fan, water pump, the tachometer. Didn't really need to run it through that, but just in case. This is the ignition wire for the distributor, and then this is a starter wire. Now, I will show you a video real quick. I actually turned over this engine because I got the main power wires tied up in here. So this is just a distribution block. I know this wire is red, but that is a ground, and it goes over here. And all the grounds on the panels and all this other crap will tie into this box along with the power wires. Got that fed to the battery switch, got the ignition in, got everything tied up into that. So this engine is actually turnkey ready. And like I said, I'm going to put a video in here real quick showing this thing turning over. So now, the engine does have oil in it. I had somebody ask me if it had any oil in it. It does. The intake has just been off. So I do need to do an oil change on it, though. I want to change that. But whenever I get ready to fire this thing, I'll go and throw the new oil in it. Got a oil pressure sensor coming. Tie that into a gauge. That way I can read the oil pressure whenever I do start this engine. And I have an intake coming. I did get that. It's a Holley Strip Dominator high-rise intake. They had a couple knockoff ones, but I've learned with the knockoff one I had actually had for a Built 350 and got off Amazon, and I'm telling you, the engine doesn't idle right, nothing. I just don't want those type of issues. So Holley, it's going to be a reputable brand. I'll be able to trust it, hopefully. And that'll be that. So I'll put the intake on, throw the wires on, distributor, all that crap. Like I said, all the wiring is ran back there. And that's going to be sweet. So that'll be here in probably a week. Now, I did notice something. Start that in that video. I heard it pop over here. And I did not actually blow a fuse. But, as you can see, that sheet metal screw that I have in there actually arced right there. So what I'm going to do is take these screws out, and I can put an Allen screw in there. But instead, what I'm thinking I'm going to do, just an easy fix, is I'm going to take that screw out and trim the head of it with a grinder just to take that lip off. And that'll keep that away from those power prongs. So just so we don't have any issues later on. But the fuse is okay. It didn't blow nothing, luckily. So, yeah, everything is tied in electrical wise as far as the engine harness, lights, and all that stuff. That's going to be a completely different story, and we'll get to that eventually. So right now I'm going to mess with that and clean up some of this wiring, get the cover on that, and yeah, just mark some wires. So that's what we're going to be doing. Okay, so that's fixed. And as far as wiring anything, I didn't really do much. I did go ahead and seal the connections behind this plate. So I got that done back in there. And so I started thinking what next I might mess with here is the coolant lines. So I'm going to take the exhaust pipe that I was going to use, and I'm actually going to put an elbow on one, so I'll have one pipe up here, one pipe down there. And I was going to run this below the bus, but what ended up happening is I have cross members underneath there, so I'm not able to actually run those through the bottom without it being lower than the frame. So I'm going to put the 2 exhaust pipes right here, and I will put a rubber connection or rubber hose in between there to that pipe, and I'm going to weld a elbow on one to where it goes directly up to that spout. So I'll kind of give you an idea with the measuring tape here, what I'm planning. Basically what's going to do is I'm going to weld that pipe right there. It's going to be 22 inches long. And I'll have the elbow on the end of that will lead to across here. And that's going to go across the floorboard right there, and I'll just end up putting some metal over that, or just some kind of protection, so whenever a kid or whatever hops in here to sit in the seat at a show or whatnot, that way whenever they step on it, it's not going to burn them. And me, I'll know that it's hot, so I'm not really going to touch it. So it's not a big deal putting it above the floorboard. It's just something else to trip over. So I'll be working on that. And I got 10 foot, so that should be plenty. 2 52-inch pieces and 1 22-inch piece. And the rest will be rubber connections. So I'll mess with that. And I need to get a fitting for the fuel pump, so I can run the fuel line to there. And then once the intake is on, I'll be able to distinguish how long I need that fuel line to go on top to connect it. Throw an inline fuel filter in there. And I may even put one underneath the frame or on the fuel cell itself. That way I got twice the protection on filtering it. So I will do that. And then I will be able to fasten this down. As soon as I get some chain, I might end up running to Gear Keys tomorrow, salvage yard, and just trying to find something that I can use on that. So I might include that in this video. I'm not too sure yet. But right now I'm just kind of piddling, waiting on a few things. Hoping that I can get the floor done, at least part of it, this weekend. So guy down the road, he does heat and air. He actually sent me a picture of some flooring that he has. So I will put that down. It's not necessarily expanded metal. It's I'm not even sure what to call it really. So I might just do that center section, and then the back put plate or something like that that you can actually set the seats down onto and fasten. Because I am going to put 2 seats back there for somebody to sit on. And I will cover the duals. That way none of that crap ends up hitting people. And if it does hit you, then sorry about you. You were dumb enough to get in this thing that I built. I don't even trust my own stuff, let alone somebody else trust me. But is what she is. Alright, so yeah, you're going to notice that this isn't buttoned down yet. Still waiting on the other... I got these. That way I can tighten them down whenever I need to, instead of just putting regular bolts in it. Parts store only had 3 packs. I needed 4. And so yeah, that's that. But anyways, so for a small block Chevy, usually you're reading the oil pressure off of the back of the intake. And the big block is not like that. On this one, I don't know much about these big blocks, but relatively, I'm sure a lot of the stuff is the same. But I was reading up on that the oil pressure is actually read above the oil filter housing. So that's where I'm at now. And they had a mechanical one on. Looked like they had the hose coming out. This one is going to be the electronic one because I don't want to run that long of a plastic hose all the way up to the dash. So I'll run the electric one. All it needs is just a prong, go straight to the gauge. Gauge will get powered, be able to read what the oil pressure is on the engine. So that's pretty important. This and temp. I'm worried about the temp too. But that one, it'll just screw into the top of the intake. It's also going to be electronic. And so yeah, I'm going to put this on real quick. Okay, right now I am actually putting on the power steering pump. Once this power steering pump is on, I'm going to be able to figure out what the length of the hoses are going to be able to run to the gearbox. I really want to get the hose length perfect because evidently it is $7 a foot. And the fitting itself that I need, 6JIC fitting, is $27 for a 90 degree. If I get a straight one, it is $22. But if I get a 90, it goes in right there on the back, right there. I can actually go underneath the floorboards and go all the way to the gearbox up there. So doing that, I'll be able to eliminate having the line up top and just something less to trip over. What's going on? Today is Friday. Stopped at the parts store, got me a water pump, went and got the rest of the bolts for the valve cover, and got some exhaust clamps. Finally got a dipstick for the block. Could never find nobody that had one. Luckily the old store had one down the road, so we can finally put that in. So when I change oil, I'll be able to see how much oil's in it. So, all right. Okay. Not sure why it was so hard to find a dipstick, but it was. So 5 different parts stores, and luckily this one had it. They just had it hidden behind the counter, and so yeah, I got that puppy put in. Finally be able to check the oil whenever I need to. Let's see. I'm gonna go ahead and put the valve cover bolts. Get those in there. I got me 2 more packs of them puppies. So silicone on the bottom of that gasket. Stick this on there, and then I am going to put the water pump on. Got that today. So I didn't know, but they offer 2 different versions. You got your factory big block Chevy water pump, and then you got the heavy duty version. They said that this one has a little bit more higher flow, I guess more gallons per hour or whatever. But I figured that would be best since I am running a little bit longer distance in this thing. So yeah. That'll be a little bit better. Even came with gaskets, thankfully, because I couldn't find anybody that had those in stock anyways. So yeah, I'll get that put on. Now, I am putting the mechanical water pump on there instead of the electric water pump. I started realizing I don't really need to worry about this engine near as much as I did the Braxton, or the Bug engine, Sweet Serenity. Because whenever I have this thing running, I'm still going to be pumping water through it. Whenever I turn it off, it's going to be off. I don't need to keep circulating water or nothing like this. This is going to move as much water as I need it to. So I'm not really going as fancy on this bus as I did Sweet Serenity. So we're just going what is cheaper, I guess. So that's $70. Actually, $62 after a discount, compared to $160. So now $160, that's a decent electric water pump. They had cheaper ones, but I didn't want to go that cheap. So intake will be here tomorrow and Saturday. Should be. We'll see. If so, I will get all that bolted down, get the gaskets on, get her tight, torqued, everything. And we're going to be so much closer to firing it. So whenever that intake is on, I'll be able to set the distributor, throw her at top dead center, and throw the wires on there, get everything where it needs to be, find a carburetor, bolt that on there, and we will fire this sucker up. So I'm pretty fired up about that. That got cut short because I got a warning on my phone that we're in a tornado warning. So it's a little cloudy. We're just gonna keep chucking along. Till I guess if I see a bunch of stuff flying, then I guess I'll have to go find somewhere to sit. But it's busted like a mobile home. They're safe in high winds, so we should be okay. So yeah, figure I'd throw that in there. Well, just in case you guys didn't believe me. Well, I decided it's probably best to go get Axel from daycare. So we just picked up little man. We're gonna head back to the house. We sat down there in the locker room for a little bit because their siren's still going off, and I guess there was a tornado that touched down west of Fredonia. So anyways, I'm gonna throw that in the video. But so yeah, that's what's going on right now. All right, so this just came in. This is our intake here. Ah, of course there's 2 boxes. All right, let's see what it looks like. And it's the bottom. All right, hang on one sec. All right, so we have no EGR. I did not want the EGR on it. We're not worried about the emissions on this bad girl. There she is. And that thing looks like a beast. So, checking it over here. So this is the Holley Strip Dominator intake. It's really gonna wake it up compared to the stock one. Also, this thing, like 6-7 pounds compared to 50 or whatever that other one was. So hell yeah, this is gonna be sweet. Let's go stick it on. All right, well, it's Sunday now. I messed with that intake a little bit. Got that put on there yesterday and ran into an issue. I will show you what I'm talking about here. So I ordered these gaskets. I didn't pay well enough attention, but the gaskets are wrong. Alright, so right here we got the upper bolts. But now you can see that gasket there actually has a small gap in between there. And I didn't pay attention to that whenever I got these gaskets. So what I ended up doing, I ordered new gaskets. They will be here Tuesday. And I will go ahead and take this back off, get it resealed, cleaned up, all that crap, and put the right gasket on there. And get it torqued down, and I will feel a lot better about it. So that's what we're looking at here. So I'm not sure with it being rainy if I really want to take this intake off right now or just leave it sealed. We got, probably 6.5 inches of rain here in Fredonia. And quite a few other places got hit a lot harder than we did for sure. Sulphur, Oklahoma got hammered very badly. Iola here in Kansas is actually, it's pretty much underwater. So, it's not good. Neighbor's dog's getting at it. So hoping that everyone's okay and whatnot. But so yeah, I just wanted to show that on the intake real quick. I went ahead and got some oil, so I'm gonna change the oil on this thing. A few people have been wondering if I've been cranking this thing over with no oil in it, and it has oil in it. So I am gonna go ahead and change it though, just get fresh oil in it. That way whenever I do go to start it this week, she's ready to rock. So, and that is the goal. I do want to start it this week. I got a carburetor. It was donated by Alan over in Longton, so very thankful for him. He's also the one that sold us the RV. So he has a spare Edelbrock sitting around, just needs rebuilt. I went ahead and got a rebuild kit, go and smack that in there. Make sure everything's functioning on it. I can't talk. I don't know. So check it out. Get the intake on Tuesday. Bolt the carb up. Get all the wires. Get all the other crap in, and we will be solid on that. So I can go ahead and change this oil. All right. So this is the Edelbrock carb that we got. It's a 1407, so it's going to be a 750 CFM with a manual choke, so it doesn't have the electronic choke. I'm going to go ahead and rebuild this. Got me a rebuild kit, so we'll go ahead and knock it out. But I'm going to take this apart and let it sit in some brake wash. All right, now that we're looking more like an engine, went ahead and change the oil in it, and the gasket should be here tomorrow. Today's Monday, and just got off work, just kind of piddled on this. Got me a hose for the power steering reservoir. I did get fittings for this, and I also got the coolant line to go from the water pump to this. What it basically is, it's almost like a bypass, so it keeps water circulating through the engine, and it doesn't fully rely on the thermostat. So, which this one won't have a thermostat in it anyways. I'm not running one. I want all the flow it can get. And so once that's on, we're going to be ready to rock and roll tomorrow and get everything torqued down, cleaned up. And I'm actually going to go inside and do the carburetor. Had it sitting, got it cleaned up a little bit. It's not perfect. But yeah, so I got this coolant pipe in, so that's sturdy. This one will be put in as soon as I let that stuff dry. So where I welded it, I went ahead and ran some JB Weld. It's a steel weld around it. That way if it does leak, hopefully that'll kind of stop it or slow it down. If it doesn't, I'm just going to slide a piece of hose over it and call it good. So that'll be bolted down, and I'll be able to get the measurements for the coolant lines, get that set. Alternator, I need to get me a 1-wire alternator. That one is junk, and it's also not a 1-wire. So with the 1-wire, I can just hook up a power wire, and it regulates itself. I mean, it does everything that it needs to itself inside the alternator. So it's just a lot simpler, a lot less hassle. Don't have to run a regulator or nothing like that. And I will get that on there. I need to measure for gauges. I need to get an oil pressure gauge and a coolant temp sensor gauge. And I still need to get a temp sensor for the actual intake. So I'll put that on there. And other than that, I mean, we're getting pretty close to firing here. So don't get me wrong, there's going to be a lot of work to do once it does fire. What I mean by that is, once the engine's running, it's going to be a good feeling, first of all. But I can focus on the other stuff as far as the torque converter, driveline length, just kind of getting everything else to where I can actually start it and put it in gear if I wanted to. Big one is I need to do the brakes. So I will find a pedal, probably off an old dirt track car or something like that. And I actually might put a booster on there too. That way I can hold the front brakes a little bit better. The rotor, I do got to do work on the front end. I'll show you that real quick. There's this side, it's okay. I will go ahead and put new pads up front. But this one, I need to replace the rotor on it. She is pretty much toast. So I'll take that off, make a good trophy or something out of it. But so I'll replace that. Fuel cell, still need to go to Gear Keys and get some chain. That's not a big deal at all though. As far as tie rods, all that crap, we're not messing with them. We're gonna run them. So only changed it for brakes. So yeah, that's what steel weld I was talking about. Just kind of putty, but yeah. So other than that, I mean, we are ready to rock and roll basically. All right, now I do need to say something. Go ahead and line something out here. I'm making these videos and I'm putting myself out there, and I already know that there's going to be critics and all that crap. I don't care. It's not a big deal. The only thing is you guys need to understand that I am not a professional at this stuff. I hardly know what I'm doing whenever it comes to this. What I'm doing is I'm trying my best and I'm doing the work. So I'm not bringing this thing to have somebody else build it. I'm building this bus. So don't get me wrong, I got help here and there and whatnot, and I appreciate it very much. But as far as critiquing how I'm doing something, I would love to hear your input, but at the same time, don't expect me to do it, because I'm going to do it to the best of my abilities, and I will cut corners whenever it comes to my own personal stuff. Others people's stuff, I will take the time and I will make it right, but for mine, as long as this sucker moves, I'll be happy. So just kind of keep that in mind. I'm going to do it the very cheapest and probably easiest way possible that I can think of. I might do it 3 or 4 times, don't get me wrong, but I will figure it out and I will end up doing it in the end game. So anyway, so I just want to throw that out there, because when you see this carburetor, some of you guys are probably going to shit and you're going to be like, I wouldn't have done that, but this is what I'm doing, and if it runs, it freaking runs. So I don't care. That is kind of the downside of posting everything that I do, because you guys get to see every part of the process. So I'm going to keep trucking and doing what I want, and that's how we're going to keep with it. So anyways, that's as far as I'm going to get on this as of right now. I am going to go inside and get that carb put together. Also, these parts stores, what the hell? None of these guys carry any type of parts. for this older stuff. I would think if you sell a rebuild kit for a carburetor, you'd also sell some of the other parts as far as the metering valves and everything else. Or metering rods and springs and whatnot, but they don't. They got to order all this crap. So I will get as far as I can on the carburetor. I'm just lacking 2 springs out of the top of it. And so yeah. Anywho. All right, so I'm going to show you real quick on these floats. I got a 7/16 drill bit, and what you want is you want that to just slide under there without lifting it up. Now, if it does lift it up, I'm going to show you what you can do here. Okay, so I'm going to show you real quick on these floats. The 7/16 drill bit. What you want is you want this to be able to slide under there. I'll do it from this side so you guys can see. Is you want that to slide under there without lifting that up. And if it does, then we need to bend it back, and I will show you how to fix that as well. I'll grab my other flathead screwdriver here. So what I do is I just hold it here, and I actually bend that up just a little bit. You never want to pull that up and bend it like this, because what you're going to do is mess up the adjustment on the drop down on the float. So with bending that up, you can see it still needs to just go a little bit more, but we are getting closer. Yeah, it might have been too much, but we're going to try it. See how we got a little bit of a gap, so that one was too much. Now you can bend it down like this. You're not going to mess with the adjustment back there because you're prying against this plate right there. You're prying against that plate, so you just got to sit there and fiddle with it until you get it. They're pretty close, I feel like. So it's barely skinning it. So that's going to be 7/16. We want to do the same thing on the other side. All right, now what we're going to be doing is we need to measure the drop down on these floats. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this little measuring stick here, stick that at the top, and you want that to be about 15/16. So right now we are way off. So I can show you. Let me turn this around. Okay, so that float right there does not need to be dropping down that far. Like I said, it needs to go down about 15/16. So what we are going to adjust this time is actually that little prong there. We need to bend that forwards. That way this float doesn't drop down as much. So I'm going to do that, and I will give you guys an idea. All right, so trying to measure this and video at the same time, it's pretty hard. So right there you can see that we're right in that 15/16 to 1 inch range to the top of that float. So we're going to go ahead and call that one good. and they look just about pretty much even. So as far as this, the top part is almost done. Now, one of the other parts I was telling you that we're missing is the springs for these metering rods. And they should be in tomorrow, so we'll go ahead and check that. Now you probably see me set these screens aside here. Reason being is because these kits actually come with 2 screens. Now you got this one that goes into the fuel inlet side, or you have these. Now I just take those out and I run this one, and it goes right inside the fuel inlet. So what that's going to do is it's going to catch all the trash and everything else inside of it. All right, so as far as the carburetor and stuff, to me, it is rebuilt. Now these rods here, they do take springs in the bottom of them, and they actually go below that. And I'm waiting on those. So they should be here tomorrow. Once I put those in, this carburetor should be ready to rock. Bought me a thick gasket. I'm not using this thing. It's a one-time use. Went ahead and got me one of them Thick Boys gaskets, and it's reusable. So I'll put this aside for now until I get the parts put together, and then I'll start messing with the intake as soon as I can tomorrow. So so that's as far as I'm going to go today. Hoping to get a lot more accomplished on the next video and hopefully start it for you guys. Other than that, appreciate you guys watching, and I'm just going to sit here as a little man, enjoy the rest of the evening. So thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.